I've got to go straight to Matt Canavan now. News this afternoon, of course, that he is now set to challenge David Littleproud. This meeting will take place on Monday. The leadership challenge in the Liberal Party will take place on Tuesday. Matt Canavan joins us now. Why have you decided to put your hand up?
Well, Steve, I think we've got to fight. I think I am a fighter. I've always taken politics up pretty hard, and we're not going to have a fighting chance unless we put up a fight. I felt over the last few years, the Nationals Party in particular, but both with us, the Liberals and the Nationals, we've just turned the volume down too much for some of the causes that we need to fight for. The biggest disappointment about the election result for me is not our stunted ambition. It's the Western Australian sheep grazers and all their workers that work for them, the shearers, the fencing contractors, the truck drivers, all of them now that are facing economic ruin because we've got for the first time in our history, we have a government that's decided to shut down an entire industry in the live sheep trade. Like we just passed a bill last year, your nation's parliament just says, bang, you're out of work, that's it. And I find that disgusting. I don't think it's an appropriate use of political power. We tried to fight against that. We're hoping if we won, we would overturn that. But, we didn't really talk about the Western Australian farmers during the election. We didn't talk about the $1 billion gold mine that this government has said no to because of a mythical story about a mythical bee. I mean, how absurd is that? But that's where we're up to in our country. And I think the record shows that when we do fight, when the Nationals Party is not shy, is not gun shy from having its views heard, we actually do pretty well. So let's go back to that success, and as I say, with my record on Adani, on delivering in Central Queensland political results, I think it's the best way forward for our party.
Reading what you've put up online as to why you want to do this, I can tell that you've been thinking about it for some time. This is not just some snap decision. I suspect you were probably always thinking of doing this if the result was like it was last Saturday. How disappointed were you in the way the coalition campaign was run? I mean, you make the point about that gold mine being shut down. Not one politician even visited there and did a stand-up in front of it.
Look, just to correct you, I wasn't expecting to do this. I have thought about these issues very deeply, Steve. I feel deeply the lack of representation that many Australians have, the so-called quiet Australians, or as I've said in that piece, many of the people that vote for the Nationals Party have to shower after work. They work demanding jobs, physically tiring jobs, sometimes dirty jobs. And they're the kind of people that don't necessarily get a lot of reward, they don't have a lot of big pay, they don't have the time to get involved in the political process, and very often their views are ignored, certainly on the likes of the ABC and other media. They're just overlooked. And that's why I think you've got this growing frustration out there in society. You've got the record minor party vote at the election because they just don't see any representation of their real lives in the political process. But look, I was hoping someone else might stand. I realise I'm a senator, so it's unconventional for the Nationals Party to have a Senate leader, but other parties have done that. And I think as a senator, I could get around the whole country and help us get back to a competitive position politically. So I didn't really expect to do this, but yeah, I've been thinking about what we need to do and where we position ourselves as a party and how we deliver for our people for a long, long time. In terms of the results, of course, I was incredibly disappointed. I was frustrated during the campaign. And it's no secret, Steve, I've used my right as a backbencher in the last few years to point out where I think we had made poor decisions. I never thought we should have signed up to net zero emissions by 2050. It's an unachievable goal. It's now a futile goal because of the election of Donald Trump, and we always knew China and India weren't doing anything. And so it's ridiculous. Countries that represent over half the world's emissions are now not even doing the net zero whole thing, and we still are going down that track. All it does is make life harder for Australians with higher energy costs, higher cost of everything, and it's putting people out of work. I mean, already, just in this first term, Steve, of the Albanese government, we have lost our urea industry. Urea is the most important fertiliser, so we can't grow food at the moment on our own back. We have to import that now from China and the Middle East. We've lost our plastics industry, so we can't make things like water ring tanks, polypipe, also very important for farming, and we've lost our nickel industry. Because Indonesia doesn't care. It builds coal-fired power stations. We tried to make nickel with green energy, and it was massively expensive, and we lost 10,000 jobs. And so I'm very worried if we don't stop that rot. If we continue to go down this path blindly, we're going to lose a whole lot more manufacturing. We're going to lose a whole lot more wealth in our country, and we will bequeath a nation to our children much, much poorer than we inherited. That would be the first time that would ever happen in Australian history, and it'd be a great indictment on our record if we don't change that.
Got to go to a break, but just finally, you're channeling your inner Peter Costello. You think we all need to have more babies?
I've also thought that for a long time too. I've done my job, Steve. My wife, actually. Sorry, my wife has done that job.
Yeah,
5 kids. We love them. They're great. And it's Mother's Day on the weekend. Happy Mother's Day to all the mums. And I look. It's a dire prediction for our country if we can't lift our birth rate from 1.5 babies per woman. It's gotten lower than I thought it would. And just without going through all the technical maths here, if we continue at that rate, for every 100 Australians alive today, you'll have just 40 great-grandchildren. It happens that quickly. We go from 27 million to 11 million in 3 generations. It's very hard to change once it's there. So, I think we need to take immediate action now to support families, to help people care for their young children. I've always championed the idea of income splitting, which treats families like a team and helps reduce tax for those families that need one spouse to go out of the workforce to look after their child. Things like that is what we need to encourage more babies, encourage families. And the greatest thing in life is a baby. As I've said in the piece that they do grow into teenagers. That's a bit of a bugger.
Good on you. Good luck on Monday. I'm sure we'll talk again soon. That's Matt Canavan, who'll challenge David Littleproud on Monday.